AP United States Government 5.1 Voting Rights and Models of Voting Behavior. Let's go! Before any changes were made to who could vote, so before any laws, any acts, any amendments before that would change who could vote at the time, these were the qualifications. You had to be a tax-paying and land-owning citizen. You had to be a male and Caucasian. If you weren't all these three things, you were not allowed to vote. Not at all. No exception. Now, the first amendment that changed who could vote, kind of extended it, was the 15th Amendment in 1870. African-American men were granted suffrage. They could vote now. Yay! This was 5 years after the Civil War, so it's no surprise that this amendment was ratified. But some had to go through poll taxes, literacy tests, and grandfather clauses to be able to vote in some areas. These were in the mostly southern areas, which were held by mostly Democrats, who were mostly against the 15th Amendment. So they wanted to be mean and put some obstacles that actually caused some African Americans to not be able to vote. Now, in 1913, there was the 17th Amendment. What did the 17th Amendment do? During the main election, you could vote for senators now. So there's more than just voting for the president. You can now vote for senators. In 1920 was the 19th Amendment. Women were granted the right to vote. So now both genders will be able to vote. African American and Caucasian, and Latino, and Japanese, and all the other ethnicities that I'm not naming. 1964, we had the 24th Amendment, which prohibited the use of poll taxes. Remember, we go back to the 15th Amendment. It said some people, some African Americans were giving poll taxes as a discrimination because they didn't want to vote. Those Democrats didn't want African Americans to vote. So 1964, Congress is like, no, this is going to be a whole amendment. You will not be able to do this. Women actually got this too. So it became an even bigger problem when women were voting. So which also caused Congress to be like, no, this is not going to happen. Then we have the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The first one in this PowerPoint that's not an amendment. It was in 1965, as you can see in the title. It ended restrictions of African American suffrage. So we had those other restrictions besides poll taxes, like grandfather clauses, and the other one that I can't remember. The literacy test. So this ended the restrictions on that. So now poll booths had no reason or any other thing that they could do to restrict you from voting. Everyone could vote based on race, based on gender. Everyone can vote now. So it doesn't matter. In 1971, we had the 26th Amendment. This lowered the minimum age to vote from 21 to 18. There were times when the voting age was, I think, lowered to 16. This was in the 17th century, late 17th century. I believe during the time where the 15th Amendment came out. But then it raised up to 21 as life expectancy increased. And then they lowered this to 18 in 1971. Then we have the National Voter Registration Act of 1993. We have the Motor Voter Act. That kind of rhymes. That's what it's called. When applying or renewing a driver's license, you could register to vote. This makes it a lot easier to vote. And this caused more people to register to vote because some would blow it off as doing it later or would not do it at all. So voting rates increased in the next election. Multiple choice question practice. Which of the following amendments / acts extended suffrage to another group of people? The correct answer is A, the 19th Amendment. The 19th Amendment allowed women to vote. So that's basically what the question is asking for, which is the 19th Amendment. Let's get into voting models, which explain a voter's behavior. These are made by some political scientists. The voting models are rational choice, retrospective voting, prospective voting, and party line voting. Rational choice is voting on the citizen's individual interests. So it's voting on your interests. Maybe you have a business, so you want lower taxes so you can hire more employees. Maybe you're a parent who has children who play sports and they may get hurt very often, so you want free healthcare. So this could be for like lower taxes, free healthcare, stricter immigration laws. Maybe you live near a border and there's immigration problems in your area, so you're going to vote based on that. That's going to be rational choice. The next one is retrospective voting, which is voting on if the party or person should be re-elected based on what they've done in the past. So what did they do? That's going to determine your vote, and that's retrospective voting. Prospective voting, voting on predictions of what the party / person is going to do. So what are they going to do? Maybe they said in a political ad that they are going to restrict immigration laws, so there's going to be less illegal aliens in your country. Well then, that's going to be prospective voting. Multiple choice question practice. You're at the voting booth, and you don't want America to have free healthcare, so you vote Republican. What voting model is this? The correct answer is C, rational choice. Retrospective and prospective voting is on a person itself, and then motor voting, well, that's not a thing. Party line voting, voting for a political party in all public offenses in the same level of government, same level. So if you're voting for all of Republicans for senators, that's going to be party line voting. But if you're voting for all Republican senators and then a Republican for the president, that's not considered party line voting because they're not in the same level of government. Multiple choice question practice. Let's do another one. You're voting for a senator because they said they will not vote on passing bills raising minimum wage. What voting model is this? The correct answer is B, prospective voting. Wrap up. So we've learned amendments / acts that influence political participation and voting models that explain voting behavior. There's a scale check in the description. Do it. It'll help you. There's an answer document below it, but do the scale check first, because just reading the answers probably won't help you as much as doing the scale check.